The gate recognized my code without hesitation. That part still worked. The driveway lights came on, same as always, but the place felt off before the door even opened. A year away wasn't long enough for a house to forget its owner, yet something had shifted. The lock clicked. The door swung open. Furniture sat where it hadn't been before. The couch was different. The table by the wall was gone. In its place stood a tall lamp I didn't recognize. The painting I'd kept in the living room for years, the one I bought after my divorce, was no longer there. A bare patch marked the wall cleaner than the rest, as if it had been taken down carefully. Shoes lined up near the entry. None of them were mine. A few steps forward confirmed it wasn't a break-in. No damage, no mess. This was organized. Intentional. Someone had moved through the house slowly, with time to decide what stayed and what didn't. The kitchen answered the next question. Different plates, a coffee maker I'd never owned, notes stuck to the refrigerator with a child's handwriting, and a phone number I didn't recognize. Groceries filled the shelves, fresh enough to rule out coincidence. The hallway led to the bedroom. Sheets had been changed. Drawers no longer held my clothes. A set of suit jackets hung in the closet, wrong size, wrong style. A pair of heels sat beneath them, scuffed at the sole. Nothing had been hidden. No attempt to pretend this place was empty. The phone came out of my pocket. One call. The property management office answered after 2 rings. "This is Michael Turner," I said. "I just arrived at the Naples house." A pause followed. Paper rustled on the other end. "Yes, Mr. Turner. Everything all right? Who's been here?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Well, your family has accessed the property a few times. How many is a few? I don't have the exact count in front of me." The answer landed wrong. The employee cleared her throat. "We assumed you were aware. They've been coming and going for months. Who authorized that silence again?" Then carefully, "We were told it was handled internally." "No one spoke to me," I said. "I understand," she replied, though it sounded like a placeholder, not agreement. The call ended without resolution. No apology, no explanation that made sense. The house waited. Every room carried signs of use, nothing dramatic, nothing violent. Just evidence of routine. Someone else's routine. Lights set on timers I didn't program. A calendar on the counter with dates, circled plans written in ink. Standing there, questions stacked faster than answers. None were spoken aloud. The office door remained closed exactly as I'd left it. The keypad to the security system blinked near the frame. That hadn't been touched. Not yet. A hand rested on the panel. The screen woke. "Enable full access," I said, giving my credentials. "Access level requires confirmation," the system responded. "Confirm," I said. The management office opened early. Laura Hernandez was already there, sleeves rolled up, tablet on the desk, 2 monitors awake. She greeted me without ceremony and pointed to a chair. "We'll start with the access logs," she said. Then video. Dates filled the screen. Entries stacked across months. Cards scanned. Codes accepted. The same names repeated. Laura tapped the timeline and let the footage run. Emily appeared first, stepping through the gate with a grocery bag on one arm phone to her ear. A week later, Ryan followed with a suitcase. Days turned into weeks. The 2 of them came and went at predictable hours. Friends joined. Cars filled the driveway. Someone carried a case of bottled water. Someone else rolled a cooler toward the pool. "That's a Saturday," Laura said, sliding the bar forward. This repeats. A different angle showed the backyard. A grill lit. Music playing loud enough to be seen in movement. People leaned against the counter, drinks in hand, laughing like hosts who knew the place would hold. The garage feed loaded next. Boxes arrived. A delivery truck backed in. Ryan signed the handheld device and waved the driver off. "Under your name," Laura said. "Maintenance too." She pulled a file and turned the tablet toward me. Invoices scrolled past. Pool service, HVAC inspection, electrical work for the patio lights. Who approved these requests came through the homeowner profile, she replied. Credentials were valid. Another clip started. Emily stood at the door with the technician pointing toward the roof. She nodded while he spoke. The body language wasn't hurried. It was practiced. A knock interrupted us. A man from the front desk leaned in. "Laura, Mrs. Green called again," he said. About the noise, Laura nodded once. He left. "She lives 2 doors down," Laura explained. "Thought Emily owned the house." The words landed without emphasis. No apology followed, no dramatic pause. Just a statement placed where it belonged. The footage kept moving. Emily checked the mailbox. Ryan pulled trash to the curb. A neighbor waved. The wave was returned. "This wasn't temporary," Laura said. "This was residence. The phone came out. Emily's number rang twice before going to voicemail. A text followed. No response. Another call went through an hour later. Her voice came fast. "Dad, I'm busy. Where are you right now?" "Out. What's going on?" "Who told you that house was yours to use?" A pause, brief, controlled. "This is a misunderstanding," she said. "We didn't think who authorized maintenance. We had to handle things. Stuff was breaking. You signed my name." "I didn't have time to explain," she said. "You weren't around." Ryan's voice cut in distant. "We can talk later." "Not later," I said. "Now." Emily exhaled a sound meant to soften the edges. "You always do this," she said. "You assume the worst." The call ended before the sentence did. Laura didn't look up from the screen. She cued another clip. "This part matters," she said. The feed showed Emily at the gate with a woman holding a clipboard. A quick exchange, a signature. Keys passed. "That's a cleaning service," Laura said. "Weekly, again under your account." She opened another file. "Your neighbors spoke to our staff. Contractors confirmed instructions came from your daughter. Everyone assumed consent." "What happens now?" I asked. Laura met my eyes for the first time. "This stops being a family issue." She printed a report and slid it across the desk. "Dates, names, times, totals. You'll want everything she said. Video logs, invoices. If you don't secure the record, it gets complicated." The phone vibrated. A message from Emily appeared, long and unfocused. "Dad, please don't do anything drastic. We were just trying to get settled. You know how hard things have been. Call me when you're calm." The words sat there. No admission. No question. Another knock came. This time it was a contractor. He stepped in, recognized me, and nodded. "Sir, he said I worked on your place last spring. Who hired you?" "Your daughter?" he said. "She said she was handling things for you." Laura thanked him and closed the door. "I'm not here to tell you what to do," she said. "But this isn't staying overnight. This is control." The office felt smaller after that, not from tension but from clarity. The situation had shape now. All footage, I said, from the first entry, and service records, everything. Laura nodded and started the export. Progress bars filled, files queued, outside traffic moved through the lot, phones rang, paper shuffled. The phone buzzed again. Another message from Emily, shorter this time. "Please don't involve anyone else." The download completed. Laura labeled the drive and placed it in my hand. "Call if they show up," she said, "or if anything changes." The law office sat a few blocks from the courthouse. No music in the waiting area, no artwork meant to impress. Just a receptionist, a clipboard, and a short wait that felt longer than it was. The attorney Mark Feldman didn't waste time. He scanned the deed, typed my name into the county system, and pulled records while we sat across from each other. "Ownership is clear," he said. For now. For now, he turned the screen slightly. Because this exists. A document filled the monitor. Not finalized, not recorded. Still real enough to matter. Draft gift deed, Mark said. Prepared 2 months ago. The name at the bottom wasn't mine. Emily Turner. That shouldn't be there, I said. It shouldn't, he agreed. But it is. He explained what that meant. The document hadn't gone through. No transfer had been completed. Still, the attempt created a trail. If someone pushed it further, the house could become a dispute instead of a certainty. "Is this criminal?" "Not yet," Mark said. "But it's deliberate." He leaned back. This wasn't paperwork done on a whim. Someone asked the right questions. Someone knew where to start. The phone buzzed on the desk. A message from Emily appeared before it could be silenced. "Dad, please. This is getting out of hand. I'm overwhelmed." "You know that. We never meant to upset you." Another followed. "Ryan thinks we should all sit down. Just talk." The screen dimmed as the device was locked. Mark watched without comment. "They want to meet," I said. "Do you know?" "Then don't," he replied. "Every conversation without counsel complicates things." Another vibration. This time a call. Ryan's name. It rang twice before going to voicemail. "I know you're upset," his message said. "We can explain everything. No lawyers, just family." Mark shook his head once. "That's not how this gets fixed." He printed a summary and slid it over. "You need to act quickly. Secure the property. Limit access. Document everything. What about the deed? I'll flag it," he said. "But if there's more activity, this changes fast." The meeting ended without ceremony. Outside, the phone kept lighting up. Emily again. Longer messages now. Apologies mixed with pressure. "You're making this worse than it needs to be. Why won't you answer? I feel like you're punishing me." The words stacked, but said nothing new. The car started. The next stop wasn't planned, but it wasn't optional either. A notification appeared on the dash screen before leaving the lot. Security alert: attempted access. Timestamp from the night before. The safe. The app opened. Logs scrolled past. A failed attempt, then another, then a third. Access denied, the system noted. No breach. No explanation. The phone rang again. This time I answered. "What were you doing last night?" I asked. Silence. Then a soft sigh. "You're checking up on us now," Emily said. "That feels extreme." "Answer the question." Ryan's voice came through closer to the phone. "Nobody touched anything. The system says otherwise." "That thing glitches," he said. "You know technology." The door closed behind me without a sound worth noting. Shoes stayed on. The hallway carried signs of use that hadn't been there before: scuffed baseboard, a bag dropped near the bench, a jacket slung over a chair that wasn't mine. A metallic scrape came from the bedroom. Another sound followed, sharper this time. Tools clinked. A drawer slid open and stopped short. The bedroom door stood ajar. A flashlight beam cut across the wall and landed on the safe. It was open halfway, keypad smudged, hinge strained. Papers lay spread on the floor, some stacked, some loose. A jewelry box sat tipped over its contents, arranged as if someone had tried to remember how they'd found them. Emily stood closest to the safe, phone in one hand, eyes wet before she turned around. Ryan knelt near the tools, shoulders stiff, jaw set. He didn't look surprised. "What are you doing?" I said. Emily spoke first. "Dad, step away," I said. Ryan stood. He didn't argue. He didn't explain. The silence from him felt practiced. Emily moved toward me, hands raised. Please don't make this worse. We were just trying to organize things. Organize what our future, she said, voice breaking on cue. You never talk about it. You never plan. That's my safe. You leave everything locked up, she said. What did you expect? Ryan shifted his weight. A screwdriver rolled and stopped near his shoe. Did you copy anything I asked? Emily hesitated. That was enough. A folder lay open near the bed. Insurance policies, property records, copies not originals but clean. Too clean. Answer the question, I said. Ryan finally spoke. We needed backups. For what? He looked at Emily. She nodded once, almost imperceptibly. In case something happened, she said. You're not getting younger. The phone came out. The number was already dialed before the first ring finished. Emily grabbed my arm. Don't call anyone, please. The operator answered. Police, she said. I gave the address and stayed on the line. Emily's grip loosened. Her posture changed. Shoulders slumped. Tears fell faster, now heavier. I don't understand why you're doing this to me, she said loudly, turning toward the doorway. I just wanted stability. Ryan stepped back, hands visible, eyes fixed on the floor. Sirens arrived quicker than expected. 2 officers entered, taking in the scene without commentary. One asked questions. The other took notes. Emily moved closer to the officer with the notepad. He's confused, she said, pointing at me. We've been helping him manage things. That's not true, I said. Ryan cleared his throat. We were trying to protect assets. Did you access the safe without permission? The officer asked. Emily dabbed her eyes. He never said we couldn't. That's not permission, the officer replied. They separated us. Questions repeated. Times confirmed. The screwdriver was bagged. The documents were photographed. I pointed out what belonged where. The officer nodded, wrote, moved on. Emily's story shifted twice. First it was a misunderstanding. Then it was urgency. Then it was fear. Each version kept her at the center. Ryan said little. When asked directly, he answered in short phrases. No denials, no outrage. Sir, the officer said to me, we'll need copies of everything you're claiming was accessed. I have logs, I said. Video, alerts, that helps. He looked at Emily. We'll follow up. They left with a card and instructions. No handcuffs, no raised voices, just procedure. Emily turned on me the moment the door closed. You didn't have to do that, she said. You humiliated me. This ends now, I said. She shook her head. You're choosing papers over your daughter. Ryan picked up the jacket from the chair. We should go. Emily stared at me, as if waiting for permission that didn't come. They left with a bag each. Not everything. Just enough. I called the attorney from the driveway. He listened, asked for details, then said what needed to happen next. You can't stay there tonight, he said. Not with an open investigation. A patrol car waited at the curb, while I gathered the drive, the folders, the tools. Evidence went into a box. The officer watched, then handed me a receipt. Where will you be? He asked. A hotel, I said. The motel sat off the highway, clean enough forgettable by design. A desk, a chair, a stack of papers spread where the TV remote should have been. The phone rang before the coffee finished brewing. Michael Mark said, already mid-thought. We're past civil exposure. What does that mean? It means intent, he replied. The safe, the copied documents, the draft gift deed, those aren't accidents. A folder opened on his end. Pages shuffled. The deed wasn't filed, but it was prepared with false statements, he said. That matters. Combined with access attempts, it crosses a line. The words landed without ceremony. No raised voice, no warning tone, just fact. Is there a way to settle this quietly? I asked. There is, he said, but it requires you to sign a family agreement, mediation, shared access conditions, timelines, and control, a pause, limited. The call ended with a meeting scheduled for later that morning. The coffee went untouched. At the office, Mark didn't offer small talk. He laid out 2 stacks. One thin, one thick. The thin one is mediation, he said. You agree to terms. You keep this out of court. And the other formal process, he said. Protective orders, asset controls, documentation. The thin stack held promises. The thick one held consequences. The phone vibrated on the table. A number I didn't recognize. Hello, Michael. It's Diane, a familiar voice said. Emily asked me to call. About what? She's distraught, Diane said. You didn't have to involve police. She involved herself. A sigh. You've always been hard to read. She didn't think you'd react like this. Mark watched without comment. I reacted to what happened, I said, not to how it looks. Diane lowered her voice. She's your daughter. The call ended without agreement. Another followed, then another. A cousin, a family friend. Each one asked for a conversation. Each one framed it as concern. Mark slid a form across the desk. If you proceed, he said, this gets recorded. There's no quiet version after this point. The pen felt heavier than it should have. The phone lit up again. Emily's name. Texts stacked faster now. Please don't do this. Everyone thinks you're overreacting. We can fix this. A message came from Ryan minutes later. We're willing to compromise. The bank called before a reply formed. Mr. Turner, the representative, said, We're flagging activity related to your Naples property. What kind of activity requests referencing future interest? Nothing approved. We need verification. Send me the forms, I said. After the call, Mark folded his hands. This is the pressure point, he said. Once financial institutions get involved, time stops being flexible. The thin stack sat closer to me than the thick one. It promised normalcy. It asked for trust. A memory pressed in brief and unwelcome Emily borrowing my car years earlier, returning it late, full tank, missing no apology. The time I paid a bill she forgot. Then another, then another. Each moment passed without comment. Each silence carried weight. The pen hovered. If I sign this, I said, tapping the thin stack, they keep access. Yes. And if I don't expect pushback, Mark said, from them, from family, possibly from the court. The phone buzzed again. A voicemail played without being opened. Emily's voice, shaky, rehearsed. I feel like you're abandoning me, she said. I just need to know you're on my side. The words didn't change the facts on the table. I won't sign mediation, I said. Mark nodded once as if he'd expected it. He slid the thick stack closer. Then we moved forward. The forms required initials, dates, clear statements, no emotional language, just declarations. A knock came. The receptionist stepped in. Your bank faxed the verification, she said. Mark took it, scanned, added it to the pile. Once this is filed, he said, there's no shared ground left. The pen touched paper. Initials followed steady. Each page turned without pause. Outside, the phone kept vibrating. Calls went unanswered. Messages stacked without being read. Mark gathered the signed documents and placed them in a folder. I'll submit today, he said. Expect responses. The file grew thicker every time it changed hands. Mark spread the documents across the conference table, not stacked, not neat, each one visible on its own. No rush in his movements. No effort to soften what was coming. These didn't surface by accident, he said. A loan inquiry sat near the top. Not approved, not denied, just opened and withdrawn. Ryan submitted this, Mark continued. listed the Naples property as prospective collateral when 4 months ago. Another page followed. An escrow receipt. A partial deposit tied to a different address across town. Same property reference, he said. Same assumption of control. The bank confirmed it later that afternoon. The call came through while we were still reviewing county records. Mr. Turner, the representative, said there were preliminary discussions about leveraging the asset. By whom, your son-in-law? She replied. He presented himself as authorized. Authorization. The word sat wrong. He was not, I said. That's now noted, she replied. But the attempt remains documented. The county office added another layer. Mark requested archived drafts metadata included. The clerk returned with timestamps and user IDs. The gift deed hadn't been the first move. It had been the cleanest one. They spoke to someone, Mark said. Notary, maybe? Possibly an advisor. This wasn't guesswork. Ryan's name appeared again in a summons notification. He was asked to appear separately. No family present. No joint statements. Emily's story shifted once more. At first she claimed ignorance, then she admitted knowledge but blamed pressure. By the third account, she said, Ryan acted alone. They're fragmenting, Mark said. That usually happens when facts stop cooperating. The phone rang again. This time it was Emily. You're letting him take all the blame, she said. That's between the two of you, I replied. You know I didn't understand all the paperwork. Then you shouldn't have signed it. Silence followed. Then a softer tone. I just needed security, she said. You always keep everything separate. I didn't know where I stood. You stood where you were told, I said. The call ended without a goodbye. Another meeting followed at the bank. More verification, more forms. Each one pulled the situation further from private space and closer to record. Once this is finalized, the manager said it becomes public. That's fine, I replied. He raised an eyebrow. Family disputes tend to attract attention. Let it, I said. Mark didn't interrupt. He waited until we were back in the car. You're gaining ground, he said. But understand the cost. What cost your name, he replied. Their names. This won't stay contained. The attorney across the hall sent over an advisory note. Emily had consulted someone earlier in the year. No formal retention. Enough guidance to move forward. She didn't invent this, Mark said. She was coached. The realization didn't land as shock. It settled like confirmation. At the county archive, another clerk handed over a sealed envelope. Inside were drafts with tracked changes. Language refined over time. Phrases adjusted. Ownership framed as transition, not transfer. This was rehearsed, Mark said. The risk shifted shape. The house was safer now. The reputation wasn't. A reporter left a voicemail later that evening. No questions asked. Just a request for comment. Mark listened, then deleted it. They're watching filings, he said. Once hearings are scheduled, interest follows. The motel room felt smaller than before. Papers covered the desk. Notifications stacked. The phone stayed face down. Is there any way to stop this from escalating? I asked. Mark shook his head. Not without retreat. And if I don't? Then this runs its course, he said. There's no clean exit once intent is established. Court started early. Metal detectors a line that moved without conversation, a clerk calling names in a flat tone. Mark met me by the benches folder under his arm tie already loosened. They filed nothing new, he said. That helps. The judge reviewed the motion without looking up. Dates were read aloud. Addresses confirmed. The request for a temporary restraining order against access to the Naples property moved forward without interruption. Any objection, the judge asked. Emily's attorney stood, then sat back down. He leaned toward her, whispered something, and shook his head. A moment later, he addressed the court. No objection at this time, Your Honor. The order was granted. Immediate effect. No entry, no use, no representation of authority. The gavel tapped once. That was it. Outside the courtroom, Emily reached for me. Mark stepped between us. "Contact goes through counsel," he said. Her attorney pulled her aside. Ryan stood a few feet back, eyes on the floor. No one argued. There was nothing left to argue with. The bank followed before noon. Accounts flagged. The property locked from collateral use. A manager reviewed the order, nodded, and stamped the paperwork. "Nothing moves without your signature now," he said. At the notary office, documents stacked again. Ownership reaffirmed. Titles re-recorded. Each signature closed another gap. Emily's lawyer called during the process. Mark took it on speaker. "My client is reconsidering representation," the man said. "The exposure is greater than anticipated." "Understood," Mark replied. The call ended. Another followed minutes later. Same message, same withdrawal. "They're on their own now," Mark said. The locksmith arrived at the house before sunset. He worked fast, methodical, replacing cylinders, resetting codes, updating access logs. Any specific restrictions, he asked. No duplicates, Mark said. No exceptions. The security company followed. Cameras recalibrated. Alerts rerouted. Old credentials wiped. A patrol car idled nearby while the work finished. The officer nodded once, then drove off. Emily's number flashed on the phone. It went unanswered. A text followed. "You didn't have to do all this." No reply went back. At the courthouse again the next morning, the final hearing moved faster than expected. Mark laid out the timeline. The judge asked clarifying questions. The clerk entered exhibits. Emily spoke once. Her voice shook, but the facts didn't. "I thought I had permission," she said. From whom the judge asked. No answer came. Ryan didn't speak at all. The ruling followed. Clear language, no shared interest, no ambiguity. Michael Turner remains the sole owner, the judge said. No competing claim. The clerk stamped the order. The case moved to closed status. Outside reporters waited. Mark steered me past without comment. No statements were given. No explanations offered. Back at the house, the locksmith tested each door again. The alarm armed without delay. "All set," he said, handing over the final invoice. The phone buzzed once more. A voicemail from Emily played without being answered. "I don't recognize you anymore," she said. The message ended. The phone went face down. Paperwork filled the dining table. Mark organized it into a single folder. "Keep this," he said. "You won't need it often, but you'll want it complete." He left without ceremony. The last meeting took less time than expected. Mark reviewed the checklist, confirmed the filings, and slid the folder across the desk. Everything that needed a signature already had one. Everything that needed to be recorded had been stamped. "This closes it," he said. The clerk entered collected copies and left without comment. No one lingered. There was nothing left to negotiate. Emily's name appeared once more on the phone while the folder was being sealed. A single message came through. "I'm sorry." No explanation followed. No request. No attempt to reopen the door. The screen went dark. No reply was sent. Back at the house, the locksmith returned for the final pass. He swapped the last cylinder, tested the deadbolt, and logged the change. The security technician updated credentials and cleared old profiles. Codes rotated. Alerts confirmed. "All set," the technician said. "You're the only one now. A receipt printed. It went into the folder without ceremony. The house didn't ask for anything else. Systems ran. Doors held. Notifications stayed silent. Work resumed the next week. A call from a former client turned into a short contract, then another. Consulting hours filled the calendar in clean blocks. No travel beyond what was necessary. No overlap with family schedules. Days settled into a pattern. Mornings for calls, afternoons for site visits, evenings for meals prepared at home or taken out without urgency. The phone rang less often. When it did, the number was familiar or it wasn't answered. A relative tried once more. The message was careful. "We're worried about how this looks." No response went back. Emily's record moved through the civil system, not dramatic, not public spectacle, just entries that followed her. The attempted leverage, the false authority, the withdrawal of counsel. Ryan's name stayed alongside hers, smaller but present. Trust dissolved where it had been assumed. Invitations stopped. Recommendations dried up. Consequences accumulated without noise. Another update arrived from the bank. The asset profile reflected the court's decision. Restrictions lifted for everyone else maintained for those who didn't belong there. On a Friday afternoon, the office called to confirm the archive date. The folder would be stored indexed retrievable if needed. "Do you want a copy sent home?" the clerk asked. "No," I said. "I'll pick it up." The drive to the office felt routine. Parking validated. Elevator up. The folder handed over thinner now that it was finished. Mark shook my hand this time. Brief. Professional. "You did what you needed to do," he said. The folder went into the bag. The building emptied around me as the day wound down. Outside, the car started without hesitation. Traffic moved. Signals changed. Nothing asked for explanation. At home, the last box was sorted. Tools returned to their place. The evidence container went to storage. The shelf closed. Work emails came in. A site report needed review. A contractor asked for clarification. The answers went out clean and short. Later, a message arrived from a number not saved. "Dad, I understand now. I shouldn't have crossed that line." No follow-up came, no request. The words sat alone. The phone went face down. The calendar filled with a new block on weekends. A local trail, early hours, no company, just movement and air. The routine stuck. Another job wrapped, another invoice paid, the account reconciled. At the end of the month, the folder returned to the office one last time. Mark's assistant logged it and slid it into a cabinet. "That's it," she said. "You're clear." The building doors opened. The hallway stretched ahead. There was no reason to look back. The car waited at the curb. The engine turned over. The route home stayed the same, and the day moved forward without interruption.